Welcome. In front of me is an Honor X8, and today I will go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. Now jumping straight into it, let's just pop it open. Now this box has seen some better days, but anyway. Okay, so there we go. That's basically all we have in a box. We do have a okayish charger at 22.5 watts, which is still better than whatever Samsung includes in a box, which is absolutely nothing. Now, in a second you will see the display, how it looks like, but we are looking at a 6.5 inch display with a resolution of 720 by 1600, so a little bit underwhelming, to be completely honest, especially at the price that this device comes at, which is over 200 euros. So at over 200 euros, I think this is no bueno, to be completely honest. Now I'll also mention that this phone doesn't really differ that much. It will be faster than the X7 and I think it was 6, basically lower versions of this device. But at the end of the day, the only difference is in the processor primarily. The display and all of them are disappointing, though at a lower price tag. Having a 720p LCD display is okay, but having it at over 200, it's a 720 LCD, not even with a high refresh rate, so that's a little bit of a bummer. You can get most certainly a better device with a high refresh rate on the device or higher resolution, well, without even like trying. Obviously it will be Chinese, but I believe Honor is as well, so I guess not much of a difference here. Anyway, let's just get into it. So TFT LCD display, 6.5 inch, 83% screen to body ratio, and a pixel density of 270, so not very high. Now if we flip it over, we'll have our camera setup, and that is a let's call it a single camera setup. It might look like a quadruple, but one is a flash and the other two are a disappointment. So the main one is a 48 f1.8 wide sensor PDAF focus, and the two disappointments are the 2 megapixel macro and depth. So I'm not even going to touch upon them. They're absolute sticker cameras. They're garbage and shouldn't be included in a phone at any price range, to be completely honest. And at the front we have an 8 megapixel wide sensor, and with all those cameras, either front or back, you can shoot max 1080p at 30 frames. Next, build quality. Glass back looks pretty nice. It kind of gives me a old Samsung vibes, like the Samsung A, I think was 4 or whatever it was, or A5, something like that. It had very similar kind of like black, matte black, or not matte, glossy black back. It looked pretty nice at that time, and this one still holds up pretty well in terms of the appearance. Now it does have a plastic frame, unfortunately, so this will compromise just a little bit of a rigidity of this device. Probably Ventest wouldn't well live with the GRE rig here. We do have a fingerprint sensor that doubles as a power button, volume rockers, and that's about it. Then on the other side we have our SIM/SD tray. So just to take that out quickly. There we go. As you can see, SIM or SD tray. Now the SD tray does double as a secondary SIM tray if you wanted to use it instead of the SD card. Now at the top we have just our microphone for just like loudspeaker calls. And then at the bottom we have a headphone jack, which is a rarity nowadays, microphone, charging port, and speaker grill. So there we go, that's basically everything that we have right here. Now moving into the internals right here. This phone is being powered by a Snapdragon 480, which is 580 plus, it's a 5G. And obviously, yeah, you have 5G connectivity with this device, though completely honest, to be completely honest, I think going for a phone with 5G, well, at this price range is a little bit of a mistake. 5G might not be still developed all that well all around. It's more of a gimmick, to be honest. In certain countries it might work well. Where I'm from, I don't think it's really worth it. And it will really depend on how good the infrastructure is for you. Keep in mind that some companies do kind of scam in terms of what they classify as 5G. So you might be paying, for instance, for the service of 5G, but technically you're just, well, it shows you that you're connected to 5G, but if you check in like the in the info, like statistics, specifically to what you're connected to, it's going to be a 4G tower. So it's basically a lie in certain cases. So be mindful of that you might be buying a phone because it has 5G, but you won't be getting that. And that is a absolute biggest scam of phone industry nowadays, I would consider it, at least in my opinion. Going to why I don't recommend also going when you're buying a phone like this is because this is a device that is on a lower budget. Technically this one costs over 200 euros, but still the specs of it are low end, so it should be technically a little bit lower than 200 for what you get right here, unless you consider the fact that you're paying for the 5G. And at that point you're getting a slow phone with a 5G connectivity, and by the time you might be able to like utilize it to its actual full potential of what 5G is designed for, this phone will become obsolete. So that's why I wouldn't recommend. It's additionally, if you're thinking about this phone strictly for the 5G connectivity, one thing that personally I think is also a little bit of a kind of an oof is 5G has benefits that don't really benefit a phone market industry. Maybe like one where it has a bigger bandwidth that it can share with more users through a tower, not the phone, the tower that you connect to. So you won't have slowdowns when there is like major city and a lot of people are connected to it, or it should be technically lower slowdown. But for instance, the benefits for you are like lower latencies and faster download and upload speeds, which for a phone, as long as I'm pretty sure it can load your Netflix or YouTube or wherever that you throw at it at any quality, you should be probably satisfied with it. At least I would hope so. And you don't need like millisecond latency. That's dumb. So that's why I kind of don't think going for a 5G device like this is worth it at this price range. It's something that you might want to get as an addition to a good device, not as a primary selling point. Now, let's move over to the next part, which is the internal storage. There's only one option, 128 gigs of storage with 6 gigs of RAM. No problems here, good enough, good amount of RAM and storage as well. And obviously you can also expand it further past the 128, which is massive benefit. And the battery in here is a 5000 milliamps. So again, the battery will last you a decent time. The processor in here isn't as powerful, let's be honest. But that also has its benefits, as the battery will last longer when the processor isn't powerful. And I guess if I'm going with the kind of like a benefit kind of thing, the crappy display that we have right here, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it's crap, will contribute to your battery life being better as well. So 1080p display or higher refresh rate or both obviously will contribute to a lower battery life with a screen on time. Here we have everything bare bottoms, like 60 Hertz and 720p, which is low end. So yeah. So yeah, there we go. That's basically all the info about this device. There's not much to it. It's a fairly bare bones device, to be completely honest. The only benefit or the only selling point of this is the 5G, which at this price range I don't recommend going for a phone that has 5G just because of it. I would recommend spending that 200 euros or more than 200 on a better device that has no 5G and having a significantly better experience, or at least most certainly slightly better experience over this one, because if you drop that 5G, you will get a faster processor and better display, which are two things that you will be using all the time when you're using this device. So that's my recommendation for the people that are looking for some kind of like alternative to this. So yeah, anyway, if you found this very helpful, informative in any way, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.